Unfortunately,
Wow, finally a question about the wildfires an hour and 27 minutes in. That's
all too
crazy.
familiar with. According to analysis from our partner, USA Facts, California has actually declared nearly 50 disasters in just the last 5 years. Mr. Steyer, your opponent here, Mr. Hilton, says,
What about the chemical spills? The refinery explosions? Come on.
that there is no evidence of California's regulations actually helping the climate. What's your response to him?
Well, I think that Mr. Hilton is ridiculous. Mr. Hilton.
I mean, I just did a search and I couldn't find anything on them addressing the spill in Garden Grove or the refinery explosion in LA.
Drilling more in California is not going to change the price we pay at the pump. The price we pay at the pump is what the oil companies gouge us for because they're charging us what everyone else in the world pays. We're paying world prices.
So
that's
why
why
are they $2 higher than everywhere else?
That is why they've gone up $1.50, Steve, because of the war in Iran.
That doesn't make sense. I mean, I know the war in Iran is playing a huge contribution to the oil scarcity. Definitely not looking into the deeper issue where California has been notorious for higher gas prices. I mean, before the war in Iran, I was in Las Vegas and it was about $1 less. And when I lived in Texas, it was about $2 less. What is really driving the cost of gasoline to be higher in California? Let's ask Brave AI. Why does California gas cost more? Okay, so it's a combination of taxes and strict environmental regulations. So we are already getting taxed for climate program fees and federal taxes, state and federal taxes. Can you give us a break? The highest in the nation. That includes a 61-cent state excise tax, which increases annually with inflation. So what does that mean? State excise tax. Plus the 35 cents they charge you on your debit card. Define state excise tax. It's for sale for a particular goods and service. Sin taxes? Oh my God. They're taxing it like they do tobacco and alcohol and cannabis. No wonder the airline tickets are so much more expensive in California. So even if you want to travel, they're charging you a sin tax. Highway maintenance? Are you kidding me? So not only is our registration paying for highways, our property taxes, also our gas tax, and our roads are still the worst roads I've ever driven on? Where is the money going? Where is this money going? Where is it going?
The mayor of Los Angeles, Mr. Hilton, is saying the climate regulations don't work, don't actually help the climate. Mr. Steyer is saying they do.
Mr. Hilton is wrong, but let me be clear. I had a 100% record on the environment in the 6 years I was in the legislature. I passed the Carl Moyer Act, which was the biggest effort to clean up the air since the Clean Air Act. When I was mayor of Los Angeles.
Again, they talk about the environment. They talk all this talk about taxing and let's make the air clean and all this other baloney. But when there's an actual chemical spill and there's actual refineries being blown up and people dying, they're nowhere to be found. There's no public statement. They're not on site. They're not investigating. It's all public, just talk.
The largest city in this state, I reduced greenhouse gases by 28% below Kyoto levels, #1 American city, #5 in the world. But we can't keep on putting these policies on the backs of working people. Exactly. We've had this conversation, Alex, many times. We have the highest gas prices because we overregulate gas in this state. And
it's not that they overregulate it. They've classified gasoline as a sin tax. Like there's just a sin tax. And if you buy an airline ticket, it's apparently sinful too. Meanwhile, you have these politicians who are in the Epstein files flying wherever they want and doing whatever they want, and that's not sinful. It's outrageous.
And yes, it's true, the Iranian war has picked them up even further. To have a balance, an all of the above solution like Norway. Norway is one of the greenest countries in the world, and they produce their own oil and gas. That's how they green Norway.
The president has named Vice President J.D. Vance as the nation's fraud czar. As you know, he brings up California a lot and has made clear that he is...
I love how the entire scandal of the Epstein files is nowhere to be said. Not one question about holding anyone accountable or what the state governor would do to hold anyone who's living in California in a position of authority to be held accountable and to be indicted and questioned. For example, there's a UCLA professor teaching neurobiology who's still teaching in UCLA. And he's in the Epstein files talking to Jeffrey Epstein about how to get an infant to suck better. When we talk about fraud and corruption and sin tax, about regular people not being able to buy a freaking plane ticket or buy gas, is infuriating.
Set his sights on California. Do you believe that's a good thing?
So we should all care where our tax dollars go. There's nothing special about Californians. That is political theater coming from J.D. Vance. Fraud occurred.
Nothing special. As we can see, we're getting taxed for basically just buying gasoline or buying an airplane ticket because it's considered a sin tax. How can you say there isn't fraud involved? You're running against someone who's involved in a fraud investigation.
On the program itself and investigating fraud, and she's saying that it's political theater that is coming from the federal government.
It's only political theater if the fraud is happening and it happened on our watch. And so the Democrats in California don't want anybody to believe that there's fraud in California. But yet our own state government has said that we are one of the most wasteful state governments in the entire country. The waste, fraud, and the abuse in California government is the worst in the entire country. That comes from our own state government. If we are not going to root out the waste, fraud, and abuse, all of their pie-in-the-sky policies, they certainly are not going to pay for them unless they tax you more, that's all we're hearing from them is what you started in the very beginning about how bad California is, and we aren't talking about the policies that are going to fix it because it's their policies that broke it. We've talked about them arguing about Mr. Becerra and about Trump ruining everything, but the reality is it is Democrat policies in California that have failed us in every question you've asked that we haven't answered.
Mayor Villaraigosa, this next question is for you. In 2008, California voters voted for a high-speed rail system from L.A. to San Francisco that was...
Okay, I've been hearing about this highway system since I was 12. Where is it? It's been my whole life. Like, where is it? And then some concrete thing in the middle of the desert is there after like how many years of this thing supposedly being built? You're going to talk about fraud? Well, here's the highway system that has never been built, that has been getting funds from my parents since I was 12 and now me.
It was supposed to be done by 2020 and cost around $30 billion.
$30 billion for nothing to be built isn't fraudulent?
It's now 2026. It's not even close to being done. And the estimated cost has ballooned to $230 billion. Mayor, your opponent, Steve Hilton, says that on his first day in office, he would kill this project, quote, stone dead. Would you?
No. And let me just first speak about waste and fraud. I can acknowledge that there has been waste and fraud in the state.
Don't you think a highway system that hasn't been built in 20 years and hasn't even progressively been built and has cost $20 billion might have some questionable fraud activity? Like,
There was 250 million in just one hospice facility. We spent $24 billion on homelessness, and homelessness went up. Why would I continue to support high-speed rail? Because when the subway to the sea was dead and I became mayor, I said I was going to bring in the best and the brightest from around the world. We did. And then I got the federal government to approve it, and that subway is going to get built. We've had incompetence, maybe fraud, but for sure,
maybe fraud, maybe. 20 billion, nothing's been done. Been 20 years. There might be fraud. Maybe. There may be. That's a big maybe.
Mistakes with respect to this. As governor,
Mistakes. Okay. It seems like, us regular people, when we go to work, if we make mistakes, we're held accountable. But if money goes missing and we're just like, we have no idea where it went, it seems like the only place where that makes sense and that's excusable is in politics and government.
did as mayor build more transportation than anybody in the United States of America.
Mr. Hilton.
So high-speed rail is an example of the fraud. They've spent billions of dollars. I don't know where the money's gone. It certainly hasn't gone into building anything that actually works.
Yep.
And I just want to make one broader point about fraud. I'm actually running this race in a different way than we've seen before. I've put together a team to run with me. There are other statewide offices. And along with my running mate for state controller, Herb Morgan, and Michael Gates for attorney general, and Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor, we've actually been investigating the fraud. Our surveys so far suggest that in the last 5 years in California, we've had $425 billion of fraud. That's around $80 billion a year, around 20% of the budget.
Thank you, sir.
$1 billion of fraud. That's
$425 billion? That could provide free education for everyone in the state, I think in the entire country. I put how much could 435 billion do for California? Wow, it even brought up the estimated total from waste, fraud, and mismanagement. It's not mismanagement. It's payouts. It's paying your wife 10 grand out of a grant. It's doing all this kind of stuff where politicians get rich off of average people at the cost of the safety and security and the livelihood of everyone else. This amount, according to the estimate, this amount is sufficient to fund every school, hospital, and road repair project the state, oh my God, the rage filling up in my veins right now. According to the estimate, this amount is sufficient to fund every school, hospital, and road repair project the state currently claims it cannot afford. We are not mad enough. We are not angry enough. And thank you, Steve Hilton, for bringing that up. I'm getting goosebumps right now with how upset I am. Thank you, Brave AI, for putting that in perspective for us. It's not a money issue. It's never been a money issue. It's a corruption issue.
That's around 80 billion a year, around 20% of the budget.
Thank you,
And
sir.
our team is going to stop it and prosecute it and give money
Thank
back
you,
to
sir.
Alex, if I
Congress-
could just chime in on this.
Real quickly, Mayor.
Yeah, well, first of all, election denial certainly is running a campaign in a different way. But look,
Okay, now I'm pissed. I'm pissed. What do you mean election fraud? What are you talking about?
high-speed rail, it shouldn't cost us more to get to Modesto than it's cost us to get to the moon. And it's not either or. The answer is accountability. We are spending billions of dollars before we ever put a shovel in the ground, paying consultants and lawyers for endless bureaucracy. As governor, I will demand fundamental reform of CEQA, of all of the rules, the environmental laws, the litigation around these projects so that we get to building faster. It goes back to your climate point as well.
Yeah.
We can't modernize the grid if we can't build.
Politician.
Thank you, sir. Congresswoman Porter, this question's to you. Let's talk about one of the biggest industries.
How about we start a new trend? Labeling shitty people who just want to tax us to get rich and give each other paybacks and do shady ass shit as politicians, and people who are actually willing to do things differently and create reform as reformers.
Here in California, Hollywood. Film production has been leaving Hollywood.
Fuck Hollywood and all their pedophiles.
To know you all a little bit, this is a rapid fire question. You know, we've done this stuff in the past. It's for each of you. Which actor would you want to play you in a movie about your life? I'm going to each of you.
What? What? Yeah, that's upsetting for sure.
If you think of which actor would play you in a movie about your life, Mayor Mahan, starting with you.
Oh boy. You're gonna have to come back to me. I don't know.
I got one.
Russell Crowe in The Gladiator. How's that?
Okay, Javier Becerra.
Antonio Banderas.
Okay, Sheriff.
I have no idea.
Tom
I-
Selleck.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good one. Clint Eastwood.
Okay, Mr. Hilton.
I think there's only one choice, really. Jason Statham.
Okay, Mr. Steyer.
Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck. Okay, the coming back, I guess, to do that. Mr. Congressman Porter.
Tina Fey.
All right. Mr. Mayor.
At the Hollywood event when I was mayor, Antonio Banderas said he wanted to play me. So I said yes. So I got to go with Antonio
We're getting
Banderas.
Antonio Banderas lots of work.
It is no secret to anyone on this stage tonight that this race has a very crowded field. And there are a lot of voters that are undecided, and many of them might be having some trouble distinguishing you from one another, seeing what sets you each of you apart in your campaigns. And so we want to give you an opportunity to
Yeah,
tell
the best way to distinguish you from everybody else is to ask you what actor you want to get played as. Let's not ask about real fundamental issues like people who don't have a home because of the fires, or people in Granada Hills, or the people in Garden Grove or Orange County that are dealing with the refinery explosions and chemical spills and how we're going to deal with that. Or education. Fuck these motherfuckers. I have a question. Why is it that only CNN and these news reporters get to have these questions, get to have this platform? They get to decide the timing, which is 60 seconds to do what? Ramble about whatever you can ramble about within those 60 seconds on complex issues. If not complex issues, what character you want to be like. It's just infuriating. Really infuriating. And I'm very thankful for Steve bringing up the $435 billion.